The stars of the galaxy shimmered brightly above as the representatives of countless alien species gathered on the grand platform of the Galactic Council. For centuries, this council had been the backbone of peace and cooperation in the universe. It was here that all the major races met to discuss matters of trade, war, and diplomacy. But on this day, the mood was tense. The galaxy was on the edge of a turning point, and the humans, the newest species in the galactic community, felt it in their bones. Humanity had always been a strange and unpredictable force in the eyes of the older civilizations. While most species had evolved over millennia, some even billions of years, humanity had risen to prominence in a mere few centuries. This rapid advancement had made them both respected and feared. They had developed technology, strategies, and an ability to adapt that no one else could match. In a way, they were a force of nature, unstoppable, relentless, and full of potential. Yet, the older civilizations had grown wary of humanity. Their rise had been swift, and their hunger for progress showed no signs of slowing down. Over time, the once welcoming galactic community began to see humanity as a threat, a dangerous variable that could upset the delicate balance they had worked so hard to maintain. The Galactic Council had always been the protector of the galaxy, and humanity had been fortunate to join it early on. The Council's role was to keep peace among the stars, but that peace had come at a cost. Powerful races controlled the most important trade routes, the richest planets, and the largest military fleets. These races had an unspoken agreement: keep the status quo, and everyone would remain in their place. Humanity, however, didn't fit into this neat little box. They had broken through barriers that no one had thought possible. And now, for the first time, humanity felt a deep and unsettling coldness from the very people they had once called allies. Inside the massive council hall, the air was thick with silence. The representatives of each race stood in their places, their eyes fixed on the central platform. The head of the council, an ancient being from a long-forgotten world, called the meeting to order. His voice was calm, but his words cut deep. After careful consideration and much debate, he began, his voice echoing through the hall. It has been decided that humanity will no longer be a part of the Galactic Council. The words hung in the air like a heavy weight. The human representatives, standing at the back of the room, exchanged uneasy glances. There had been whispers of this decision for days, but now that it was official, it felt like a betrayal. The humans had worked hard to earn their place in the council, and this decision would undo all of that. The representative for Earth, a seasoned diplomat named Clara Mitchell, stood up, her voice steady, but filled with a quiet fire. "What is the reason for this decision?" she asked, her words cutting through the tension. The council leader did not hesitate. Humanity's rapid development has become a destabilizing factor. The balance we have worked so hard to maintain is threatened by your unpredictable nature. We believe it is in the best interest of the galaxy for humanity to be excluded from the council. Clara's heart sank. She knew that the older races feared humanity's potential. They feared what could happen if humanity was allowed to continue advancing without restrictions. They were afraid of what humans could do if they truly unleashed their full power. But to have it said so bluntly, in front of all the galactic races, felt like a slap to the face. As Clara looked around the room, she saw the faces of the other races, some sympathetic, but most indifferent. The galaxy had made its decision. Humanity was no longer welcome. Back on Earth and across the human colonies, news of the Council's decision spread like wildfire. At first, there was shock, then anger, and finally, a cold determination. They had been cast aside by the very people they had once considered allies. But as humanity's leaders began to process the gravity of the situation, they realized one important thing. This wasn't the end. This was only the beginning. The human colonies, from the crowded cities on Earth to the distant mining stations on Mars, came together in ways no one had expected. They set aside their differences, their rivalries, and their past struggles. They were united by one simple truth: If the galaxy wouldn't stand by them, they would stand by each other. As the Council's decision took hold, humanity began to prepare. They didn't know what the future held, but they knew they had one thing no other species in the galaxy had: an unbreakable will. And with that, humanity would face whatever challenges the galaxy threw at them, together. The days following the decision of the Galactic Council were filled with disbelief. Humanity had always prided itself on its ability to work through problems, to solve challenges no matter how difficult they seemed. But this was different. This was not a challenge they could simply overcome with technology or diplomacy. This was an act of rejection, a turning away from everything they had worked so hard to build. Across Earth and its colonies, news of the Council's decision was met with shock. For a few days, the world stood still. The once thriving alliance with the galaxy's most powerful races was suddenly gone. In the bustling cities of Earth, where humans had once felt proud to stand alongside the ancient species of the stars, there was now only a deep emptiness. Humanity's leaders gathered in emergency meetings. Diplomatic channels were open, but no one was willing to listen. The alien races that had once supported humanity now remained silent, unwilling to take a stand or offer assistance. Some even began to openly distance themselves, afraid that siding with humans might make them targets of the same fate. It wasn't just the leaders who felt the pain. The people of Earth and its colonies felt abandoned, alone in a vast and sometimes hostile galaxy. The sense of betrayal was felt deeply, especially by the young. To the younger generations, the galaxy had always been a place of excitement and opportunity. They had been taught to believe that humanity was part of something larger, something grand. Now, they were being told that they were no longer welcome. But while the pain of rejection was sharp, a quiet determination began to stir within humanity. The people of Earth and the colonies had faced hardship before. They had fought wars, survived environmental disasters, and rebuilt civilizations. This was no different. They would rise, as they always had. Humanity's governments called for unity, from the industrial hubs of Earth to the resource-rich colonies on Mars, from the scientific stations on Europa to the mining colonies on Titan. Humans began to rally together. The message was simple: we may have been cast aside, but we will stand tall, together. Across the human colonies, leaders set aside their differences. On Earth, political leaders put aside long-standing rivalries. On Mars, once isolated factions began to cooperate, pooling resources and expertise. Humanity's strength had always been its diversity. And now, in the face of galactic rejection, it would prove that diversity could be its greatest strength. The first few weeks were tough. Supplies, once easily acquired through the vast trade routes established by the Galactic Council, began to dwindle. Communication with the rest of the galaxy grew quieter, as if the universe itself had decided to turn its back. But instead of growing weaker, humanity grew stronger. They began to adapt, just as they always had. New trade routes were established, relying on independent ships and smaller, less-traveled paths. Earth's factories kicked into overdrive, producing the technology humanity would need to survive and thrive on their own. At the same time, scientists across the colonies began to develop new strategies and technologies. Weapons, shields, and defensive systems were improved at an astonishing rate. Human ingenuity, when faced with adversity, had always proven to be one of its greatest strengths. In a matter of months, humanity's military capabilities were enhanced beyond anything the Galactic Council had ever imagined. But it wasn't just weapons that humans focused on. It was survival in every sense. They knew that a strong defense was important, but so was the ability to rebuild and grow. Agriculture, medicine, and energy production were all reworked with new technologies, allowing the colonies to become more self-sufficient. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council continued on, unaware or indifferent to the changes taking place within humanity. The alien races who had once been their allies watched from a distance, unsure of what to make of this sudden shift. Some of them feared that humanity would become too powerful, too unpredictable. Others simply did not care. It was clear that humanity's exclusion from the Council was not a mistake. It was a decision made out of fear. But what they did not understand was that humanity had never been driven by fear. It had always been driven by hope, by a desire to build something greater than themselves. This was a lesson the galaxy was about to learn the hard way. As the months passed, humanity's resolve grew stronger. They were no longer the newcomers in the galaxy. They were becoming a force to be reckoned with. The human colonies were thriving, not just surviving. The people began to believe that maybe, just maybe, being cast aside was the best thing that could have happened to them. It had forced them to realize their true potential, to understand that they didn't need anyone else to define their place in the stars. The first signs of a new movement began to emerge. It wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about showing the galaxy that humanity was not only worthy of a place among the stars, but that humanity would create a new way of living in the galaxy, one built on unity, strength, and determination. And soon, they would show the galaxy that they were not alone in this dream. The months that followed humanity's rejection by the Galactic Council were filled with uncertainty. At first, many wondered if they had the strength to stand alone in the vast, indifferent galaxy. The once promising alliances were now distant memories, and the Council's decision still stung deeply. However, as time passed, something remarkable began to happen. The humans, rather than crumbling under the weight of abandonment, began to rise. Across Earth and its colonies, leaders who had once been divided began to find common ground. Political differences that had once caused chaos now became secondary to a far greater cause: survival. For the first time, humanity's strength was measured not by the wealth of its empires or the size of its fleets, but by its unity. The decision of the Galactic Council had forced humanity to confront a painful truth. They could no longer rely on the galaxy's oldest civilizations to protect them. If they wanted a future, it was up to them, and them alone. The first step toward this new future came with the formation of the Human Coalition, a unified force dedicated to ensuring humanity's safety, prosperity, and independence. Representatives from all human colonies, Earth, Mars, the moons of Jupiter, and even the asteroid mining stations, came together to draft a plan. The coalition's mission was simple: to defend humanity's interests, create new alliances, and prove to the galaxy that humanity was a force that could not be ignored. Among the leaders of this new movement was Clara Mitchell, the human representative who had stood up at the Galactic Council meeting. Clara had never been one to shy away from challenges, and the current situation was no different. She knew that the path ahead would be difficult, but she also knew that humanity's future depended on the decisions they made now. She worked tirelessly, rallying support from all corners of human society: scientists, diplomats, military leaders, and civilians. As Clara spoke to the masses, she reminded them of humanity's greatest strength: its ability to adapt. "We have always been a species that overcomes," she said during one of her many speeches. "When the world was dark, we found the light. When the road was long, we kept walking. And when the galaxy turned its back on us, we stood tall. This is not the end, my friends. This is only the beginning." The Human Coalition's first major action was to organize a series of training exercises across the colonies. These exercises were designed to strengthen human defenses and prepare for any future conflicts. It was clear that humanity would have to defend itself in the coming years, and these drills would provide the necessary skills and knowledge to face any threat. At the same time, the scientists and engineers within the coalition worked around the clock to improve humanity's technology. They knew that innovation would be key to their survival. New energy sources were discovered, and advanced weapons systems were developed. In the face of galactic rejection, humanity's ingenuity was its greatest weapon. The coalition also began work on creating a new fleet of ships, sleek, fast, and powerful enough to rival the forces of any alien empire. As the coalition grew stronger, so did the resolve of the human people. Across the colonies, factories hummed with activity, and new ships were built. What was once a scattered and disorganized network of human colonies was now a unified force, ready to take on whatever the galaxy threw at them. But it wasn't just about building weapons and ships. The human spirit, which had been so deeply shaken by the Council's decision, began to heal. Communities that had once been divided now worked together. People from all walks of life, scientists, soldiers, farmers, and artists, found common purpose in the Coalition's mission. It wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about proving to the galaxy that humanity was more than just a fleeting experiment in the stars. They were a force to be reckoned with. The message was clear. Humanity would not be forgotten. They would not be pushed aside. They would not allow their destiny to be dictated by others. In the quiet corners of the galaxy, alien species watched. Some were curious about humanity's next move. Others worried about the growing strength of the human coalition. The truth was, they had underestimated humanity. They had assumed that when faced with rejection, the humans would crumble, fade into obscurity, and become nothing more than a footnote in galactic history. But they had been wrong. The first sign of humanity's growing strength came when a group of neutral planets, who had long stayed out of galactic politics, reached out to the human coalition. They had watched humanity's progress with interest, and now they were ready to offer their support. These planets had seen the promise of humanity and recognized the potential for something new, something different, and they wanted to be a part of it. For the first time since their rejection, humanity felt the spark of hope. The galaxy may have turned its back on them, but they were not alone. And with the strength of the human coalition, they would stand firm. Together, humanity would build something new, something that no one, not even the oldest civilizations in the galaxy, could ignore. The peaceful silence of the asteroid belt was shattered by the roar of engines. The once quiet mining colony of Ceres, a small but vital hub of humanity's resource supply, was under attack. A large fleet of alien ships, led by the Sorin, a ruthless and highly advanced species, descended upon the colony with terrifying speed. The Sorin had long been known for their aggressive nature and their belief in the survival of the fittest. They saw humanity as weak, easily ignored without the protection of the Galactic Council. The attack on Ceres was meant to send a clear message. Humanity was not only unimportant in the grand scheme of the galaxy, but they were also vulnerable. The Sorin believed that without a strong alliance to defend them, humans would crumble under their power. But what the Sorin didn't understand was that humanity had been underestimated. They had been left to fend for themselves, yes, but in doing so, they had learned to adapt. They had learned to survive. As the Sorin fleet closed in on Ceres, the human defenders rallied. The fleet that humanity had built, though smaller than the advanced fleets of the galaxy's ancient powers, was no longer weak. It was fast, agile, and powered by the best technology humanity had to offer. And most importantly, it was driven by something that the Sorin had forgotten: the will to fight for survival. The human defenders, stationed aboard the newly constructed human ships, prepared for what seemed like an impossible battle. Commander Julia Hayes, a skilled leader who had once served in the United Earth military, stood at the front of the command center, her eyes fixed on the holomap of the battlefield. "We may not have the numbers, but we have something they don't," she said, her voice calm but filled with fierce determination. "We have the will to win. They think we're weak. Let's prove them wrong." As the Sorin fleet began to fire upon Ceres, the human ships sprang into action. The battle was nothing like the grand galactic wars of the past. It wasn't about massive fleets or overwhelming firepower. It was about strategy, agility, and the ability to adapt in real time. The humans had learned to fight smart, not hard. Their ships were faster and more maneuverable than the Sorin's bulky warships. They used every advantage they had, using the asteroids as cover, pulling off sudden evasive maneuvers, and striking with precision when the Sorin ships were least expecting it. The Sorin, expecting an easy victory, quickly realized that humanity wasn't as easy a target as they had assumed. Human ships darted in and out of the asteroid field, dodging laser fire and returning fire with deadly accuracy. Each hit they scored against the Sorin fleet was a message. Humanity wasn't going down without a fight. Commander Hayes watched as the battle unfolded, a proud smile crossing her face. Despite the overwhelming odds, her fleet was holding its ground. She knew this was more than just a battle for Ceres. It was a statement. The Sorin had tried to show the galaxy that humanity was weak, that they were unworthy of a place among the stars. But with each shot fired, with each Sorin ship taken down, humanity was proving them wrong. Hours passed, and the battle raged on. The human ships, though outnumbered, fought with a unity and tenacity that the Sorin could not match, and just when it seemed like the Sorin might retreat, humanity's counterattack struck a decisive blow. A human ship, piloted by one of the colony's most skilled pilots, managed to disable the flagship of the Sorin fleet, cutting off their command and leaving them vulnerable. With their leadership gone, the remaining Sorin ships hesitated, unsure of what to do. The humans didn't wait. They pressed the advantage, striking with all the force they could muster. One by one, the Sorin ships fell, retreating into the deep space from which they had come. As the battle ended and the dust settled, Ceres stood strong. The human defenders had not only protected their colony, but had also sent a clear message to the galaxy. Humanity was not to be underestimated. The Sorin had come expecting an easy victory, and instead, they had been defeated by the very species they had tried to push aside. The victory on Ceres sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy. The Sorin, once confident in their dominance, were forced to reconsider their approach to humanity. They had learned the hard way that the human spirit was not so easily crushed. The Sorin fleet had been beaten, not by sheer firepower, but by the courage, resourcefulness, and determination of the human defenders. Back on Earth, and throughout the human colonies, news of the victory spread like wildfire. People cheered, celebrated, and rallied behind the message that had been sent. Humanity was not just surviving, they were thriving. The Sorin had thought they could break humanity, but instead they had only made them stronger. As the people of Ceres repaired their colony and mourned their losses, they knew that the battle for their survival was far from over. But one thing was certain: they had proven that humanity would not go quietly into the dark. They would stand tall, and they would fight for their place among the stars. The victory at Ceres had sparked something in humanity. It wasn't just the triumph of defeating an alien fleet. It was the realization that they were capable of far more than they had ever imagined. News of the battle spread like wildfire, not just throughout the human colonies but across the galaxy. The Sorin had made one serious mistake. They had underestimated humanity. And now, humanity had shown the universe that they were not weak. They were not just survivors, they were fighters. But the victory was bittersweet. The battle had come with a heavy cost. Many ships had been damaged, and several brave lives had been lost. The colony of Ceres, though still standing, was left in ruins. However, the spirit of the people remained unbroken. They had held their ground, and that was all that mattered. They knew this was just the beginning. The galaxy had seen what they were capable of, but now, humanity had to prepare for what came next. In the days that followed, Clara Mitchell, the leader of the Human Coalition, met with her fellow leaders in a secure facility deep within Earth's capital. The war with the Sorin was not over. It was clear that the Sorin would not simply let this defeat slide. They would regroup, strengthen their forces, and come back stronger. Humanity had won a battle, but the war for survival was far from over. "We can't just sit back and wait for them to strike again," Clara said, her voice sharp with resolve. "We need to take the initiative. We need to show the galaxy that this victory wasn't a fluke." Her words echoed in the room. The leaders nodded in agreement. They all knew that humanity's survival was no longer guaranteed. The Sorin had been just the first of many challenges that humanity would face in the vast and dangerous galaxy. But the key to survival, Clara believed, was not to fight just to defend. Humanity needed to take the fight to their enemies, and make it clear that they would not bow down to anyone. Clara's plan was simple, but it was bold. She proposed an alliance of human colonies and neutral planets, those who had seen humanity's strength and believed in their cause. Together, they would form a united front, one that would send a message to every race in the galaxy. Humanity was here to stay. But more than that, they would not be intimidated or pushed around any longer. The task was monumental. Coordinating such an alliance would take time, resources, and careful diplomacy. But Clara was certain of one thing: humanity's resilience was unmatched. They had faced hardships before, and they had always come out stronger. This would be no different. As the coalition began its efforts to strengthen relationships with neutral planets, an unexpected development occurred. A mysterious signal was received from a distant part of the galaxy, a sector that was largely uncharted and unknown. The signal was faint but clear enough to be noticed. It wasn't a distress signal, nor was it a call for help. Instead, it was a message: "We have been watching you." The message sent a ripple of unease through the coalition. Who could have sent it? And why now? Clara and her team quickly began to analyze the signal, searching for any clues that could shed light on its origin. The more they studied the signal, the more they realized that it wasn't from any known species. It was something new, something they hadn't encountered before. For days, Clara and her team worked tirelessly, trying to decode the message. And then, finally, they made a breakthrough. The signal was coming from a hidden faction of humans, a group that had been cut off from the rest of humanity for years, even before the Soren conflict had begun. They were a mysterious group, one that had vanished from history and had remained hidden for reasons unknown. The message from this group was cryptic, but it was clear. They had watched the events unfold with great interest. They had seen humanity's growth and their victory at Ceres. Now, they were ready to make contact. Clara was stunned. Who were these hidden humans? And what did they want? The message hinted at the existence of powerful technology, knowledge that could change the tide of the war and shift the balance of power in the galaxy. But there was a catch. The group was offering their help, but only if humanity could prove itself worthy. It was a challenge unlike anything humanity had faced before. The human coalition was already struggling to defend its colonies and build a united front. Now, a new opportunity had appeared, but it came with a price. To unlock this hidden knowledge and secure an alliance with this mysterious group, humanity would have to prove that they were truly ready for the next stage of their evolution. Clara knew that this was a turning point. If humanity could find a way to reach this hidden group, they could gain the upper hand in the galactic struggle. But it wouldn't be easy. The road ahead was filled with uncertainty, and the unknown forces watching humanity's every move could be both allies or enemies. As the coalition prepared to take on this new challenge, Clara stood on the balcony of the Earth Command Center, looking out over the sprawling city below. The fight for humanity's place in the stars was far from over. But now, for the first time, humanity had a new hope, a chance to shape their destiny on their own terms. The mystery of the signal sent waves of uncertainty and excitement through the human coalition. The message was clear, though cryptic. Humanity was being watched by a hidden group of people, a faction long thought lost to history. They had witnessed humanity's struggles, and now they offered their help, if humanity could prove itself worthy. Clara Mitchell, now at the heart of this new chapter in humanity's journey, stood before a holographic map of the galaxy. The hidden group had remained silent for years, but their message had ignited something within her. The knowledge they held could change everything, but the challenge to prove their worth was daunting. Clara knew that this was an opportunity too valuable to ignore. "We need to act fast," Clara said as she addressed the gathering of coalition leaders. "We don't know who these people are, but we do know that their offer could turn the tide of this war. We need to show them we are ready. We must prove that humanity can adapt and rise to this challenge." But the question remained, how? There were no guarantees. Humanity was still recovering from the battle with the Soren. Their resources were stretched thin, and many of their colonies were on high alert. Yet Clara felt a sense of urgency that she couldn't ignore. This hidden faction had watched them, and now they had chosen to make their presence known. Humanity could no longer remain divided. They had to be united, not just for the survival of their species, but to show the galaxy their strength. The coalition quickly mobilized to gather as much information as possible. They studied the signal, deciphered its coordinates, and traced it back to a sector that had long been unexplored by human civilization. The sector was on the edge of known space, far from any established colonies or galactic routes. It was a place where few dared to venture, shrouded in mystery and isolation. The mission to uncover the secrets of this hidden group was assigned to a team of elite explorers and diplomats, each handpicked for their skills and resourcefulness. The team would be led by Commander Julia Hayes, the same leader who had guided humanity to victory at Ceres. Clara trusted Julia's ability to handle the unexpected. This mission would require not just military skill, but diplomacy, as the mysterious group's true intentions were still unclear. As the team prepared to depart, Clara stood by the launch bay, watching as the explorers and diplomats boarded the ships. The hum of engines and the hustle of crew members filled the air. This was a momentous occasion. This mission could change the fate of humanity. "Do you think they'll accept our offer?" asked General Marcus Leet, one of Clara's closest advisors, as he joined her by the observation window. Clara turned to him, her expression firm. "I don't know, but we'll do everything we can to show them we are worth their trust. We're ready to prove who we are, no matter what it takes." The ships departed from Earth's orbit, cutting through space toward the distant sector where the signal had originated. As they traveled, Commander Hayes briefed her crew on what they knew about the hidden group. Little was known, except that they had been out of contact with humanity for a long time, possibly even before the rise of the Galactic Council. They had kept to themselves, living in secrecy. But now, it seemed, they had emerged from the shadows. As the fleet neared the sector, the atmosphere was tense. The crew of the lead ship, the Argo, watched as the stars grew brighter and the unknown sector loomed closer. Commander Hayes stood at the front of the bridge, her eyes fixed on the space ahead. They were on the verge of discovery. Then, a strange anomaly appeared on their sensors. A hidden station, built into the side of a massive asteroid, appeared out of nowhere, as though it had been waiting for them. The station was enormous, much larger than anything humanity had ever built, and its design was unlike anything they had seen before. It was clearly a place of great importance, hidden in plain sight. The Argo approached cautiously, sending out a communication signal, requesting permission to dock. For a long moment, there was no response. Tension hung in the air. But just as Commander Hayes was about to order the fleet to retreat, a voice crackled through their communication system. "Welcome, travelers. You have proven your resolve. We have been waiting." The voice was calm and deliberate, yet it carried an undeniable power. The crew exchanged nervous glances. They had found them. The hidden group was real. Commander Hayes stepped forward. "We come in peace. We seek an alliance, one that will help us protect our people and build a better future for all." There was a pause, and then the voice responded. "You have shown great courage, humanity, but there is much you must learn before we can truly stand together. Meet us at the station's core. Only there will you discover the truth." The Argo docked at the massive station, and Commander Hayes led her team through the eerie, dark corridors. The silence was almost deafening. It was clear that the group who lived here was unlike anything they had encountered before. The station's technology was advanced, far beyond anything humanity had developed. Strange symbols adorned the walls, and mysterious devices hummed with energy. At the heart of the station, they were greeted by figures cloaked in shadow. Their faces were hidden, but their presence was overwhelming. "We are the Guardians," one of them spoke, "and you, humanity, have much to learn." The moment they stepped into the core of the hidden station, the air seemed to shift. The Guardians, as they called themselves, stood in silence, their eyes hidden beneath their hoods, their faces cloaked in shadows. It was as though the very presence of these mysterious figures commanded the space around them, making everything feel still and deliberate. Commander Julia Hayes and her team stood before them, feeling a mixture of awe and uncertainty. They had come so far, only to find themselves face to face with beings who had lived outside the knowledge of humanity for so long. "We have been watching you, humanity." The figure in the center spoke again, his voice calm and steady. "We have seen your rise, your struggles, your victories, but the truth is, you are still very young. There is much you do not understand." Clara Mitchell and Julia exchanged glances. They had prepared for many scenarios, but this was different. The Guardians had already made it clear that they were not here to simply offer help out of kindness. Their offer was not a gift, it was a challenge. "Tell us what we need to do," Clara said, stepping forward with determination. "We will prove we are ready." The Guardian nodded, and with a simple motion, the station's central console flickered to life. Holographic images appeared, showing the vast galaxy beyond. There were stars, planets, and entire star systems, most of which were unknown to humanity. The galaxy was far larger than humanity had ever dreamed. "This is the galaxy as you know it," the Guardian said. "But there is more to this galaxy than you realize. There are secrets that many civilizations have kept hidden for centuries, technology that could change the course of history. And there are enemies waiting in the shadows, ones that are not bound by the rules you know. They will not hesitate to destroy anyone who stands in their way." The images shifted to show scenes of war, of civilizations crumbling beneath the weight of destruction. It was a chilling reminder of the harsh reality of the universe. Humanity had fought and won against the Sorin, but there were others out there who were much older, more powerful, and more dangerous. The Guardians had the knowledge to protect humanity, but it came at a price. "You are not yet ready to face these enemies," the Guardian continued, "but you will be. However, before you can gain the knowledge you seek, you must first prove that you understand the responsibility that comes with it." The silence in the room grew thick as the weight of the words settled on everyone's shoulders. Commander Hayes and the team had expected a challenge, but this felt like a test they could not afford to fail. "What do you ask of us?" Julia's voice was steady, but the pressure of the situation was undeniable. The fate of humanity could depend on their actions here. The Guardian's gaze seemed to pierce through them. "You must unite the galaxy, not just for your own survival, but for the survival of all. There are powers in this galaxy that would see everything destroyed for their own gain. You have seen a small part of that already. But true unity will not be built by war. It will be built by trust, understanding, and shared purpose. This is the hardest path, but it is the only way forward." Clara and Julia absorbed the words. A galaxy united. It seemed impossible. The human colonies alone had struggled to agree on many things, let alone unite with entire alien species that saw the universe through entirely different lenses. But they also knew they had no choice. If they wanted to secure humanity's future, they had to build alliances and bring others together. It would be the greatest challenge humanity had ever faced. "How do we start?" Clara asked, her voice filled with a new sense of purpose. The Guardian gestured to the console, and the images shifted again, this time focusing on a network of planets and star systems scattered across the galaxy. Some were already united under powerful alliances. Others were fractured and isolated, living in constant conflict. But at the center of it all was a massive, dark shape, a shadow looming over the galaxy. "This is your enemy," the Guardian said quietly. "The ones who seek to control everything. They will stop at nothing to break you apart. But we have seen something in you, humanity. You have the power to unite. You have the strength to bring others together, even when all seems lost." The team stood in silence as the reality of the situation sank in. They were not just fighting for survival. They were fighting for something much bigger, something that could change the entire galaxy. Humanity had the chance to be more than just survivors. They could be the spark that ignited a new era, an era of unity, peace, and shared purpose across the stars. Clara turned to Commander Hayes, her eyes filled with resolve. We're not just going to survive this galaxy. We're going to change it. We're going to make sure humanity has a place in this universe. And we'll do it together. The team nodded, their spirits ignited by the challenge. The road ahead would not be easy, and they would face many obstacles. But they were no longer just a scattered group of colonies trying to survive. They were part of something larger, a force that could bring the galaxy together. As the Guardians stepped back into the shadows, the path was clear. The galaxy was waiting, and humanity was ready to take its place among the stars.